Reform UK are going to turn out to be just as shit as GB News. Let's have a chat.
It's all too much. I think you said enough. It stinks hypocrisy to me.
When GB News was launched, I and many others were under the impression that it would have been news that's to the right of centre politics. So away and different than Sky, completely different than the bullshit BBC, certainly different than Channel 4. So we had people like Andrew Neil was going to be on it. And then, of course, we had Mark Stein, we had Dan Wootton, we had Lawrence Fox, we had Calvin Robinson, and a few others that I would say, yes, that's correct. They would be to the right of centre and something different. They had Farage, of course. And it seemed kind of okay. Had lots of technical difficulties to start with. Silly things with sound. But that's by the by, I guess. You can forgive them for that for now. But then the alarm bell started to ring for me. First of all was the dismissal of Mark Stein, cited as because of Ofcom, because he was talking about the 91 Divock and the badge, this whole thing. So he got thrown off. Too close to the truth, I would suggest. Certainly as far as Ofcom are concerned. You must understand that Ofcom, in my opinion, and I'm right, Ofcom is just another arm of the government, okay, or the authorities. It's probably someone above the government, but that's for a different rant. So Mark Stein went. Then I found it strange that on the Dan Wootton show, they had some, I would say, ridiculously left-wing guests on there. And I don't know whether that's just trying to show these people up or not. But we'll get to that. So we had Benjamin Butterworth. I mean, in my opinion, he's a complete and utter tosser. I really don't like the bloke. And then we had a couple of the ladies. I can't remember who they were, but certainly left-wingers. Okay? Two other women, Amy McAndrew and someone else. I think that's what they were called. And I just thought it was odd because they were given quite a lot of airtime. And they spouted some real shite as far as I'm concerned. And I thought, am I watching the BBC again? That's kind of what I thought. So the alarm bell started ringing there for me. And then, of course, more lately, we've had Lawrence Fox was sacked because he said, I wouldn't shag her. Now, for the people who don't know what he was on about, this was in response to someone who tweets all the time, this lady that tweets all the time, ain't going to shag you, mate, when she doesn't agree with them. So basically, Lawrence Fox was taking the piss out of this woman and her tweets. This woman is a gobshite, just put it that way. And he got sacked for it. Misogyny, or whatever they call it. Sexism. And because Dan Wootton laughed, he was suspended. I mean, you couldn't make it up. And then, of course, Calvin Robinson, he put his oar in, he got sacked. So you could kind of see, hold on, we're losing all the promise. We're losing the promise of centre-right because the channel is veering completely to the left. Benjamin Butterworth now has his own show. He's far left. He's ridiculous. He's a right ponce. So we were promised one thing and we got another. Now, this is what I think is going to happen. Well, it's happening already with Reform UK. People think it's a viable alternative. I'm telling you right now, I'll absolutely call it right now. You're wrong. You are so far wrong, it's unbelievable. And here's why. As with GB News, Richard Tice promised a more centre-right party. And it would seem that that was how it felt to start off with. I don't think it did really, but a lot of people did. And I thought, well, a new party in there where more people seem to be getting behind them isn't a bad thing anyway. And then, recently, very recently, we find out. I'm not going to say names because I can't remember. It doesn't even matter. But you can go look up yourself. One of the party members, one of the ones that's going to try and stand as an MP, has massive links with Hope Not Hate, who are a far left organisation. So that's the one worrying thing. And then we have ex-Tories joining the party. You're thinking, well, hold on. This was supposed to be reform. Reform to me means something different. Start again, rip it up, start again, reform it. Don't take in all the other shit that's been thrown out of other parties and bring them into this other umbrella. Same, it's just, I'm telling you, it's controlled opposition. So what I think is happening, and of course, sorry, I jumped ahead there. Of course, we had Richard Tice himself, didn't we? Going out to Ukraine. Okay, now if you ask most people that are centre right or far right, not far right, but to the right, they will say the Ukraine thing is nonsense. Okay, they won't be certainly not happy that Tice has gone out there to get his little photo. You know what I mean? So that's not what we expect from reform. Just the same with the other parties, virtue signalling nonsense. And then again, of course, Tice again advocated mandatory thingy doodahs of the 91 divot, didn't he? Eh? He advocated lockdowns. Okay? So how, pray tell me, how is he any different than any of the other wankers? Come on. I find it strange, okay, that people, on one hand, don't trust politicians at all. Right? Say, they're all liars, all that, pants on fire and all that sort of stuff. But then the next minute, because Boris said so at that time, you have to have that, and you're not allowed to see your family, and people went along with it like sheep. Now, Tice is one of those people who said the same, basically. He's the leader of this fantastic new party that everyone thinks is going to be centre-right. It's not. You're being missold. I'm just putting it out there. You obviously have to do what you want to do when it comes to voting time. We're fucked either way, because Labour are going to win. Some of you may celebrate that. Again, that's up to you. I think we deserve a Labour government, to be honest with you. And then we'll see what bloody happens, won't we? Can't get much worse, can it? So yeah, now let's just on a slightly different, let's jump back to GB News. They were marketed as a home of free speech, weren't they? Home of free speech, they said. Okay then, so why isn't Tommy Robinson allowed on there? And I know some of you are going to go, hey, Tommy Robinson, it's because you haven't seen anything about Tommy Robinson. You've seen what the press have told you to believe. So I would suggest you go and watch something like The Rape of Britain, Silenced, and Panodrama, and a few of his things. When people say he's not a journalist and stuff like that, just search them out, go watch them, and you'll come back to him and say, sorry, yeah, he absolutely was a journalist, or is a journalist. On GB News, on 3 occasions that I've actually seen, one lady said that Tommy, when he went down on Armistice Day, caused trouble and was throwing stuff at the police. That's absolute fabrication. She was allowed to get away with it. She wasn't picked up on it by the presenters. They just let it go. And then, very recently, an imam was on there, on Jacob Rees-Mogg's show, and he claimed that Tommy Robinson was throwing petrol bombs at the police, at the cenotaph. Again, complete and utter fabrication. Unchallenged, Jacob Rees-Mogg didn't even question him. And then Benjamin Butterbollocks, Benjamin Butterworth. He went on a rant on there saying, well, the likes of Tommy Robinson, he goes outside mosques and burns Korans, or destroys Korans. It never ever happened. Again, pure fabrication and let go by the presenters. So you tell me if you think that GB News is in any way the home of free speech or independent. No way on earth. Controlled opposition again. Sold a dud, and that's my similarities between GB News and Reform UK. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, press your thumb thing up your bum and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, to the next one. Bye.